If 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 you keep waiting to feel motivated, that's why nothing never changes. You don't need motivation, you need structure. Hi, I'm Kate Monte, and if you're new here, this is From Your Big Sister, the series where we talk about things that really need to be talked about. This is where most people mess up. Motivation is emotional, and structure is reliable. Motivation depends on how you feel or how determined you are to accomplish something. Structure exists whether you feel like you can accomplish something or not. Structure makes you feel safe no matter what you do or do not. I'm sorry, or what you can or cannot get done, is what I actually mean. It's easier to feel like your life is actually only moving when good things happen to you, when you actually feel like you have all your ducks in a row and everything is aligned perfect for you. It's so much easier to feel like that is the only time that your life is actually positive or is actually moving for a more better outlook. But that's not entirely true. When you have structure, when you have a stronger foundation, whether you feel like you are in the best position, the worst position, or even worse position, your life is still going to continue to move forward in a smoother transaction if you actually have a structured mindset or a structured routine in your life. But the truth is that you may not even be inconsistent. You just really sit here and only believe that the only way that anything is going to be done is if you feel hard enough. If you feel like, oh, I want it bad enough, it'll magically happen like that. But that's not the truth. You can feel like you want something really bad, or you can feel like that you're determined enough to get something done that bad, but that's not going to equal or make a difference if you don't actually put forth the effort. I can feel like, oh, my life is just gonna fall in place one day when I wake up. But the truth is that I don't have a consistent income. I don't have stable transportation for myself, so it does not alter my reality. My ball is still not moving because I don't have the stability within myself or within my life to keep moving forward. When I stop asking myself, okay, the world sees that I feel frustrated enough that I'm not having a job, so the job will come to me, and actually really sit there and think, it doesn't matter what I felt like the world is seeing. The world is not gonna just put stuff in your lap, or better yet, you should not always think that the world is gonna be your way out of your said solution. So I had to sit there and I had to think and I had to realize, okay, bitch, the reality is that you need to get a job wherever you're gonna get a fucking job at. And so wherever you get said job is where you have to be able to be content with. It doesn't matter if it's like $16, $20 an hour compared to like $12, $13 an hour. I've worked at Dollar Tree for about, I think it was 11 or $10 an hour, as opposed to me getting a job where I got like 16 or 17 an hour and I got paid bi-weekly. My job history is terrible, but that's my business. That's not yours. Structure is when you implement structure in your life, it actually takes away a lot of the stress and overwhelm fatigue of making decisions. Why would you need to make a decision if you already have a structured foundation that allows you to see the decisions that's actually going to coincide? So why would I sit here if I've already have, so let me give you an example. If I have a car, if I said, okay, this car is here and this car can only go for a certain amount of miles, why would I sit here and get a job that exceeds the miles that my car can go instead of saying, okay, I can only have this job that is down the street and I can only use my car for emergency weather situations. Any other time after that, I can just walk to work. You see, like that's where the difference comes in. It protects you from inconsistency, it protects you from burnout, and it also protects you from starting over every single month. My biggest flaw is that I plan but I don't follow through. I make a decision and I never follow through. So it always causes me to feel like I'm not going anywhere or stay in the same step over and over and over again. So I got to the point to where I started off small. If I can be consistent with drinking a water, and I know it's so small, but if I can be consistent with like drinking a water or brushing my teeth twice a day or actually washing my face, like I like an actual licensed, soon to be licensed esthetician in the future should be doing, then I would see results. Or if I can do something as small as that, then I can take on something as big as everything else that I need to accomplish. Having discipline does not mean you have to be hard on yourself. A lot of people think that just because you're disciplined, that means you have to do the hard 75 daily and not just the hard 75 for 75 days. No, discipline does not actually require you to have to be there and present every single day. Discipline just means that you stuck with something and you see it through. So, for example, the hard 75, people do the hard 75 and they stick to the hard 75. And then after the 75, I can almost guarantee you, or I can only assume that they're left with a sense of, what do I do now? You did your hard 75, you did the no sweets, no drink, no nothing. Now, are you in the mindset that you're going to keep doing that afterwards? Or are you going to go back to eating your junk food? Are you going to go back to sleeping in? I mean, you have the body that you want temporarily, but past the 75, are you going to be able to maintain this? And nine times out of ten, it's not really necessarily like that. When you're disciplined, it's like you can be as low impact as you want as long as you're always keeping up with the same momentum. So I can do the hard 75, but I can say, okay, in order to know I'm going to actually make this a permanent habit within myself, I'm going to do the hard 75. This is not a literal method of the hard 75. This is just a weird example. Instead of actually sticking through the hard 75 and do it 75 days consistency, I might just be like, okay, for a week, I'll do all my 75, and then by the third month, I'll do 2 weeks, and then by the sixth month, I'll up it to 3 weeks, and then by the, you know what I'm saying? You build some type of momentum and consistency behind a goal, so that way when you've accomplished that goal, but by then it's a habit, so it's no longer like something else you feel like you have to accomplish. It's embedded in you now. It's honestly not because I'm trying to be inspiring, not because I'm watching anyone and trying to mimic their life, or not because I want to be some type of, I'm not going to say statue because that's not what it is, but I want to have a different life for myself. And I feel like I keep starting over and starting over and starting over. And honestly, it's more energetically losing to keep starting over instead of just being consistent to where I don't have to keep coming from scratch. Like, there's nothing wrong with me, like, okay, this plan doesn't work. Let me fall back and let me go back to the drawing board. There's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like at a certain time or a certain point in my life, I can't keep doing that. Like, it doesn't work for Shawty Love no more. Like, it at some point, it just becomes more embarrassing to me than, oh, you're figuring out your life. No, I'm almost 28, and it's not that I'm looking to have everything figured out right now at 28. I'm looking to have a foundation at 28, at least something that's going to keep me at the float of like living. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I ain't trying to be up here. I'm just trying to be right here, and right here is maintaining a normal job, taking care of my kids, and taking care of myself. Like that. That is like the bare minimum of life. Like anything else that I'm doing is just like me trying to put a little razzle dazzle to my own life to romanticize my life. But it's just, that's where it's like people don't understand. Like at 25, I want to say I was 25. So at 25, I had my first apartment and I had my kids was in there with me. It was all nice. But then somewhere along the way, it was just that everything got swept under my feet. And then I couldn't, for the life of me, when that moment that the rug got swept under my feet, it's not like for the life of me, I could not figure out what it was that made it happen. Now, mind you, I was hooked on why it happened, but then I realized that I was so worried about why it happened that when I had to start all over, I really didn't even know where to begin to be start over. Then I realized I've been told so much what to do instead of like realizing what I should be doing. And then it made me realize how much I really did not know as a grown woman, or quote. It's just like a domino effect. So when you sit here and you have like an understanding on where you need to build discipline, you start to understand things. You start to see things. So when I understood that, okay, Shavante, it's easy for someone to tell you what you need to do. It's so much easier. It's so much easier for someone to say, hey, go apply for that job. Hey, oh, I'm on it. It was so much easier to do that than for me to think, okay, I'll apply for this job and I get it, but this job only was presented to me because yeah, the opportunity was great, but I also had to bear in mind this person had a car. At this time, I probably don't have a car, so I got to get on the bus. But then the bus only goes so far, and I can't tell how many times I worked a job like that where the bus only went so far towards the place I had to work, and I had to end up walking an extra 35 to 40 minutes from work to the bus stop, and that's like to and from work. So I'll leave the house, I'll get on the bus, I'll get to work, but then once that bus dropped me off as close as it can, I have to walk and I have to be there before I'm late. And then when I get off, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I want to go home. No, you still gotta walk. You gotta get on the bus, 2 hour bus ride, and then you get off the bus, and then you still gotta walk like the extra 8 minutes from the bus stop back into the house. Like it was just like it was great. The opportunity was great, but I felt like I was tearing myself down more instead of realizing, okay, yeah, even though the opportunity was great, but you definitely should have just took that little McDonald's drive down the street. That was a 15-minute walking back in in no rain, no snow, no nothing. But that's where I'm saying like it's just a lot of things that come into aspect when you don't actually allow yourself to sit down and think about what you can do, what you can't do, how far you're willing to go, or what you aren't willing to do. Like your non negotiables will really help you really get a great understanding and an easier path. It might not be the path you want, but it'll be easier for you. And this matters more than you think because when you're in a season of becoming, structure creates safety. So when you get past the point of like identifying what, when, why, where, how, what, like when you get past all that, and if you did it right and you, which nine out of ten, nobody's expecting you to, but if you did or you didn't, but when you get past that and you're in the season of actually starting to see like, okay, I see it now. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a what do you call it? A flow. I'm entering a flow. I mean, you enter the flow. Like everything is happening now because now that you sat back, you figured out and get it. Like it's there. It's when everything starting to make sense. Now, mind you, it started to make sense, but then you're gonna start feeling a bit weird because it's making sense. You don't went through so long of it not making sense, but now that it's starting to make sense, you're like, wait a minute, this is another setup. Like this is Ashton Kutcher or somewhere, but that's not. It's not true. It's like your reality and the power of your manifestation are actually clashing. That's how I want to say it. So it's basically what you thought, how you wanted to move, or you put all your little worked in magic and you calculated and you thought like, okay, if I do this, I know I'll get here. When I get this, I know I'll get here. Now you're here. Like this is what the here is. It gave you a few like consistency acres. It gave you what you're willing to work around, what you're not willing to work around. I know I just said that, but this is just me recapping. If you stayed in the same morning flow, if you did your same Sunday weekly resets, I know the trend on social media. I don't particularly partake in it. I'm not even gonna pretend like I want to. I don't. I don't believe in a Sunday reset. I believe in that you go to bed reset. Period. Point blank. I might try it, but I probably really might not. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But the same check-ins with yourself. I have check-ins with myself, but my check-ins are a bit different. My check-ins are more like zoning out 2 or 3 times throughout the day. Like that's me checking in on myself. That's me like that's me saying like, hey girl, how we feeling? And then it's like, oh, I'm feeling okay. And then it's like, is it? No. but then we keep it going because no matter if I'm down or if I feel like I'm actually where I want to be in that moment or if I accomplish anything that I need to accomplish, I'm still going to keep going. I don't have no choice but to keep going. So I feel like you understand what I'm saying. If you did, I mean, you wouldn't be listening if you didn't. But I yaps. But structure is how you hold yourself while you're still figuring things out in shorter terms. Consistency builds identity before your confidence shows up. But save this for later. This is just a clip. Full videos are on Shavante Kingdom, aka K Shavante on YouTube, and look for us on our podcast. Look for us on our podcast on Spotify. Thank you for spending time with me, and I'll see you later. The gang's all here. Peace.